Hi, everyone. It's Mark Lynd. Today, I'm talking with Carl from Compass Healthcare. He's the director of IT there. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, Carl?
Yeah, I am the original director of IT at Compass Healthcare. It's an organization that was built about a decade ago for smaller doctors' offices to keep the larger hospitals at bay. And I absolutely love what I do and have a team that's been growing and enjoy everything about it.
That's fantastic. It's great when you hear somebody excited about what they do, their profession, and the people they work with. It's always invigorating. So, well, I think let's just jump right into the questions. Obviously, we're going to be talking about Intel and Intel vPro platform today. What were some of the challenges or pain points that drove you to take a look at the Intel vPro platform?
Now, when we first began, I was a one man show. We built Compass to save as much money for our organizations as possible. And one of those savings was IT. Instead of having a SMB, MSP doing work for a large amount of money, they had me take over everything. And as we've grown, I've grown the IT department, of course. So my security hat was focused pretty solely on the big incidences and preventing them and triggering HIPAA audits and HIPAA disclosures. Um, and when we were smaller, that wasn't such a big deal. And now that we've grown from 4 offices to 13 and 150 employees to over 500, we've fleshed out a lot of policies and procedures that make our security posture much more proactive. And Intel has been a huge part of that over the last couple of years. Uh, we used to use built-in Microsoft remote access tools and then TeamViewer, and we were looking at Intel vPro and Emma as a remote management tool, and we just stumbled upon all the security features that came along with it, and we haven't looked back since.
Yeah, so you mentioned the security, which is near and dear to my heart. So, how about the hardware security? Also, working with your software security, do you have so that you have a very layered, structured approach that provides a much better security posture? Was that a big thing for you?
Absolutely. And especially as the pandemic took over and a lot of our doctors started doing remote work and remote telesessions with patients, it was critical that we made sure that their hardware was safe at their house. And some of our software tools just weren't up to our level of standards as of a couple of years ago. And the Intel vPro and Hardware Shield kind of fell into a perfect spot that protected us from the things that we couldn't see.
Fantastic. Yeah, you mentioned some of the others that were the solutions that weren't quite reaching it. How long did you evaluate the Intel vPro platform and look at others?
Well, we actually did it twice. Around 5 years ago, I dabbled in Emma as an RMM tool, and to tell you the truth, I didn't have a great experience with it that time. A couple of years ago, we started again when I had a team of techs, and it was a completely different game. The installation of the server was easier. There were way more features within the actual vPro machines, and everything kind of tied together a lot easier the second time around. So I would say the first time we did about 2 months, and the second time we had a decision made within about a month that this was what we were going to go with.
Well, that's great. That's great. Yeah, you don't hear that very often. It must have been a pretty convincing evaluation for you.
Yeah, absolutely, it was.
Fantastic. How much? So, as part of that decision, and it happened in a month. How many people were involved in the selection? Did you include stakeholders and influencers in the organization?
I'm incredibly fortunate to have pretty much the full trust of all of the owners and management within all of our divisions. They're all small businesses, so we are dealing with individual budgets, individual stakeholders. But when I came into our larger board and said, this is the direction I want to go, and explain the minor costs up front for buying slightly better hardware that was going to last them longer, and told them that down the road we were going to be saving money on RMM tools, extra software, even tech time doing remote work because we were going to be more efficient doing that work. So Yeah, we had to include a lot of different stakeholders, and they all bought in very quickly as well.
Yeah, that's great. It's interesting. A lot of the organizations we don't hear they go to their board. The fact that you went to your board and put such a compelling piece out there that they signed off on is fantastic. Really, really good. So, some of the things that you told them, that kind of leads me to the question of what stood out, capability and business value wise, for the Intel V platform compared to others that you shared with them.
The biggest thing I shared with them was the financial value. All the costs are rolled into a one-time purchase up front when you buy a new machine. And I told them that, yeah, it's going to be a little bit more expensive per machine. But the thing is, every one of those machines is going to be a premium machine above and beyond what we normally buy, which means it's going to last longer and it's going to perform better for a longer time. And then, of course, there's the savings down the road that I already talked about a little bit. And aside from that, if you dig into the actual what the hardware shield provides, it can augment and replace a number of third-party tools, and especially we especially appreciated the threat detection tech for crypto lockers and crypto miners, because that was an angle of attack that we didn't have good visibility in for our remote workers. We could catch them if they were real viruses, but a lot of that stuff would start going real quick, and if we weren't ahead of it, it would catch us.
Yeah, I love that. So you use the life cycle management and the security, because we're seeing the attack surface is doubled or tripled with remote work. And so you use those and leverage those around the Intel vPro platform. That's fantastic. Yeah, it's interesting. I end up writing and talking about the vPro platform quite a bit. I love the fact that you highlighted those two in a practical real world experience, because that really stands out for people that will be viewing this about why Intel vPro platform, right? Why would I spend that little bit of extra money when I acquire the laptops, the desktops, etc.? It just really stands out. So that kind of leads to the last question. That with all that, with all that we've talked about, and for how long you've been using the Intel vPro platform, what can you share about your overall experience?
It comes in advice, and that advice would be, if you go this route, go 100% in on the MS server up front. And then, of course, you're going to follow your internal policies of testing and vetting. But when you decide to start deploying machines into the wild, go all in. For me, that meant not deploying just an internal only server. Put in your colo, DMZ, cloud, whatever, and make sure you get that SSL certificate going so that you can do auto deployment, so that the machines are checking in anywhere they are, and so that your hands-on touch time up front is reduced significantly. We did an internal server before, and we didn't do the SSL certs. We had a lot of touch time, and then when we went back to re-add those 40 machines to our real MS server, we spent a lot of redo time, which we kind of regret. So that's my advice: is go all in and do it right the first time.
Yeah, it sounds like you've had a really good experience, one that a lot of other people could look at and reflect on, or maybe would help them as they start their Intel vPro platform journey and kind of understand what the business value is, what they need to do to share with their leadership and team, and how to be able to communicate and talk about it to others. Well, I really enjoyed talking to you about this. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience about the Intel vPro platform?
It's saved us so much time and energy over the last couple of years, especially through the pandemic. We were looking at it right as it was starting, and it was a great time for us to do it. If you have the budget, if you have the people that are stakeholders' ears, it's well worth the time and effort going after these better machines. When you're going to save money, you're going to save time, you're going to save energy in the long run.
Fantastic. Well, Carl, I really want to thank you for your time today, and I really appreciate you joining me and sharing some of the things and some of the experience you've had with the Intel vPro platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate talking with you.